Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the greatest time of the day. From the center of the universe, New York City, it's the main event you've been waiting for. It's time to go in the cage with Cyclone.
That's right, everyone. We are in fact live, and I, much like it says in my underwear, am Cyclone. Welcome to In the Cage with Cyclone. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to be doing the hardcore MMA stuff for all you hardcore fans out there, especially a certain group of people that have been, on me about this. But I'm going to take an interesting look as well, and an entertaining look to stand up. To stand up, to MMA. Just a quick reminder, all of you people out there listening, go on Facebook, type in the Cage with Cyclone, and then click like. It's really simple. I have lots of giveaways. As a matter of fact, later on today, I'm going to be giving away a prize to someone who asked a question on the Facebook page. For every single UFC pay-per-view card, I have raffles. How else can you follow me? You can follow me on Twitter at Cycie, CYCIE19. You can follow me at my website, cyclonecomedy.com. And not only that, you can read all the articles I write on boneheadpics.com. That's all my little bit of a bunch of plugs. What are we going to be doing today? We're going to be talking UFC 210, Bellator 176. My first dream fight. I have the 300 of the best fighters ever on a list. I'm going to pull out two numbers. I'm going to read the names. And boom, those two are going to go at it. I'm going to tell you what would happen in that fight. But, let's get started right after this quick message.
This is Frank Edgar.
This is the Barbarian Tim Boach.
I'm World Series of Fighting undefeated lightweight champion Justin Gaethje.
MMA legend, UFC Hall of Famer, Iceman. Check it out. If you got the guts, step in the cage with Cyclone.
All right, so let's start now with that. I don't want to call it a disaster, but that incredibly interesting week that was in Buffalo, New York, called UFC 210, shall we? Nothing really surprisingly as far as the early prelims, although Magomed Bibulov winning against Janelle LaUsa. And then right after that, someone who will actually hopefully be a guest on the show rather soon, the Monkey God himself, Jared Brooks, then called him out. They're actually both undefeated right now. Jared is 12-0. Magomed is now 14-0. So I think that would be a good contradicting styles if that fight actually does take place. Dana White, go sign that fight deal. Catlin blonde fighter Chukagan once again winning against Irene Aldana, which wasn't that big of a shock. Desmond the Predator Green, being the hometown fighter that he is from Buffalo, New York, whooped on Josh Emmett. Kind of shocking that it went the way it did because Josh Emmett's 11-0. the guy was on a hot streak. He's a massive striker, and he was actually put in his place, dropping the split decision. Andrew Holbrook losing to Long Island's own Gregor Gillespie by KO in just 21 seconds. I mean, I don't know how many things can get done in 21 seconds. I mean, I don't think I could do anything in 21 seconds, but that's all it took. The prelims, I mean, those went pretty much the same as the earlies did. Jan Blachowicz getting dropped by Patrick Cummings. I mean, Jan just came off of an injury because I did see him at the Fighter Hotel for UFC 208 in Brooklyn, and his hand was still in the cast, and had said that he'd be training again the following week, and I guess, it just took him a little bit longer. So maybe he'll be back on the winning ways next time out. Shane Hurricane Burgos beating Charles Rosa. I mean, is it that much of a shock there? I mean, Shane's ground game is better. Shane's fighting is better. His Muay Thai is better. Everything is better. So, then this kid, Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, he continues to impress in the welterweight division, taking a unanimous decision against Sean Strickland. And I honestly thought early on in the fight that he could have starched him, but I'll give Sean some credit. He just kept coming. He showed a lot of heart. Miles Jury beating El Kukui, not Tony Ferguson, but Mike De La Torre. And then afterwards, after the fight, in the post-fight presser for him, Miles said that he is really, really pissed about the way that everything is going in MMA, especially the UFC, with all the trash talking. Then getting to the main card, shocking that Will Brooks didn't, it's confusing to me how Will Brooks he wasn't really there as far as I'm concerned against Charles Oliveira. And then Charles Oliveira to finally make weight at lightweight, saying that he wants to go back down to featherweight, where he's missed weight constantly. He just can't cut it there. What I think should happen is Dana, the matchmaking committee, and everyone else should take a lot of these fighters and say, look, if you can't make this weight once, if you can't make this weight twice, if you can't make this weight a third time, guess what? You're not fighting at that weight. You're going up a weight class, whether you like it or not. All right? But that's just me on my little bit of a soapbox, actually my stool right here. Patrick, the Predator Cote, announcing his retirement after losing to Thiago Alves, the Pitbull, who actually looked really, really jacked at welterweight. And I think, here's the thing, with Tyron Woodley, Wonderboy Thompson, and everybody else at the top of that division, I think right now they would all starch Thiago Alves. But I think Thiago in welterweight is good enough to hang in the 10 ranked to 15 ranked area. Whether he actually has it inside himself to step up, I don't know. I'm not that much of a brain surgeon. But then, after the fight, Patrick Cote announcing his retirement. And this guy, first of all, he's been fighting forever. Okay? And he's been a class act. He has stepped up constantly. But once a fighter starts transitioning mentally to what's next in his life, it's just about done. And the fact of the matter is, Patrick Cote, for a while now, has been working on TSN as a color analyst, sort of what Daniel Cormier and Dominic Cruz are doing at Fox. And you have to wonder if, the clock is now ticking on both of those guys. Plus also Dominic Cruz, all those knee surgeries, you figure he's on borrowed time anyways. But getting back to 210, Pearl Gonzalez, a.k.a. Booby Gate, which is a joke because here's the thing. The rule that a woman can't fight with breast implants was put in place for boxers. This is MMA. And while, yes, it makes sense to not allow, female fighters to fight with breast implants because of what could possibly happen. And you don't want more injuries than possibly could have to happen to a woman. But she got beaten. She got beat bad tapping out to Cynthia Calvillo, who trains with Uriah Faber at Team Alpha Male. And actually, Uriah has said this woman, Cynthia Calvillo, is a pit bull gangster. And you know what? She looks like it. Dana has said that she actually reminds him of conversations that he had with Ronda and with Conor in the beginning of their careers. Now look, she's a far way away from taking on Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She's a far way from that title. But she has that pit bull mentality. She's always charging forward. Her striking is deadly. Her ground game is deadly. She could very well be a future champion. Moving along, and now to the co-main event. With this craziness, it hurts me because I like Chris. Chris Weidman is a great human being. Chris Weidman has meant so much to the sport. He has meant so much to New York. But he's now 0-2 in New York as a fighter, losing first at the Garden to Yoel Romero at 205, and now this TKO to Gegard Mousasi. Now look, my take on the whole thing, the first round, he was taking Gegard down like he said he was. He was wrestling him, which he's unmatched there. He was controlling everything, basically. He gassed out in between the first and the second round, and Gegard started coming back. And yeah, you know what? I think maybe subconsciously he wanted some sort of a timeout. He wanted a foul called about, you can't kick a guy with his hands on the mat. Gegard, smart man that he is, as he's throwing those kicks, he lifts Weidman up so his hands actually aren't on the mat. And actually, if you go back and watch the videos, his hands weren't on the mat. Only his fingers were. And MMA is now starting to get like football. What's a touchdown? What's not a touchdown? What's a catch? What's not a catch? What's a down fighter? Who the hell knows? But all these commissions, because every commission has their own set of rules, they need one universal set of rules, because it's going to save mentally the fighters. It's going to save mentally the refs. It's going to save mentally the judges. It would just be a whole lot easier with one set of rules, But it's now 3 losses in a row for Chris, and well, I don't want to get into too many opinions about Chris because that might be one of the questions that I answer, but Chris might not be long for the middleweight division anymore, or for a career anymore either, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Then the main event itself, DC, Daniel Cormier retaining his title against none other than Anthony, no longer Rumble, Johnson. Uh, I thought going into this that there would be a hashtag I knew. I was completely behind Rumble. I thought that he was going to do his homework. He was going to take DC and he was going to pound him. And he did it at first, but in fairness, the game plan was to starch him, just pound him from pillar to post, as the wrestling term is. But some way, some reason, something made Anthony change to go in and take him wrestling style. And you can't wrestle with the best wrestler in the division, if not in the company, in DC. And yeah, it was a bad move on his part, but it was a decision that he himself made, and he himself is going to deal with the repercussions. His corner was screaming at him about changing, the game plan. His corner didn't know he was going to retire afterwards. Dana obviously didn't know, and Dana has no right to know if a fighter is going to retire. No fighter needs to tell Dana ahead of time, hey, I'm retiring. That's on the fighter. So that's as far as that's concerned. Now, let's slide over a little bit more. And with Rumble no longer fighting, first of all, he actually just came out and said, I am no longer to be referred to as Rumble. Rumble is no more. I am now just Anthony Johnson. I get it, by the way, no matter what I do in life, I am always Cyclone. You shall always refer to me as Cyclone. Or God, you could refer to me as God or Almighty, I'll accept those two. But yeah, I stick with my nicknames. Where does the light heavyweight division go? There is one particular fighter in World Series of Fighting, Mike Kyle, who actually happened, by the way, to lose to Rumble. Well, lose to Anthony Johnson. He could be available. There's nobody really in Bellator that's available. So what Dana might have to do is start doing what Bellator has done and go out and sign the indie guys. Go out to the lower and go to like the Ring of Combat guys. Take some of those. Just bring them in. If you throw a bunch of poop at the wall, let's see what sticks. I don't think that would necessarily be a bad thing. Let's see. I want to also say that in that division now, what happens as far as DC? Because after the fight, DC trash-talking Jimmy Manawat. DC then trash-talking John Jones. He played the heel. He is like the hot rod Rowdy Roddy Piper now. He is like the NWO version of himself. He is, in cage persona, the perfect heel now. Honestly, here's my take. I think Jimmy and John should go at it once John's, suspension is over. Let Jimmy fight John, and the winner gets DC. The loser goes and gets Alexander Gustafsson, because, quite frankly, Alexander and DC again, it doesn't necessarily inspire me, but would I pay to see that fight? No. I'll go to watch it somewhere else, but I would watch it. DC's also said that a guy like Misha Serkinov won't be ready to fight someone like him before he retires. So DC already knows that the light at the end of the tunnel in his career is coming soon, or at least coming sooner than later. What does Patrick Cote's retirement mean for the welterweight division? Well, as the guys in the hardcore MMA group had Neil Magny on their show recently, I'd like to see him get a bigger push by the company. I'd like to see Ryan LaFleur from Long Island get a bigger push, who actually is the first ever, I should say, won the first ever bout at UFC 208 in Brooklyn. And actually, Thiago Alves has already said that he'd like to be on the Long Island card at the Nassau Coliseum when it's UFC on Fox 25 in mid-July, I believe. Yes, mid-July. I think that those are some names that should be getting a bigger push in the welterweight division besides Mr. Usman. And I think those guys could be good challengers. Would any of those names beat Tyron Woodley? God, probably not. You know, I don't see anybody I just mentioned being a champion. But I think those names can very easily scare some people in that division and shake up those rankings a bit, because the rankings in the UFC for the most part are stagnant. The guys in the division are top heavy. So I think that is, as far as the welterweights go, it in a nutshell. You know, I want to retouch on the breast gate for a second. Look, the rules in place are to save fighters from themselves. I'm not going to say that inmates run the asylum, but here's the thing. When you have fighters that always want to fight, it's sort of like baseball. You know, you ask a pitcher, can you go another inning or face another batter? They're always going to say yes. These guys, the competitive level at the top level is unmatched. So if you ask a fighter, do you want to fight? They're always going to say it. No fighter's going to say no. So these rules have to be put in place to save themselves from themselves. But and honestly, bottom lining it, I think that rule of no women are allowed to fight with breast implants honestly is a good rule. I mean, look, I'm a red-blooded American guy. I'm straight as an arrow. I love boobies. But at the same time, fake boobies, if you get punched or kicked the wrong way, it's your health and it's your safety, and I wouldn't want to see a fighter have some permanent damage because they had breast implants. So I think it's a rule that needs to be across the board. I think some of these rules, while are too tough, I think some of these rules aren't tough enough. I want to remind everybody that you guys can reach out to me on Facebook at In the Cage with Cyclone. On Twitter, it's at Psyche, CYCIE 19. Read my articles on boneheadpicks.com. All you got to do is go to the right a little bit up on top to more sports. Click down, you see it's actually just UFC/wrestling. You click on that, and up come my articles. Read them. I'm actually a really good writer, by the way. And CycloneComedy.com is the website where you get everything about me. Every little thing you want to know about me is on CycloneComedy.com. Reach out to me on all those. A little bit later, I will, like I said, be taking a Facebook question. I will be doing my drawing for the two fighters for the first ever Dream Fight. And we're going to be talking Bellator 176 and some upcoming cards as well. All coming up right after this. Oops. All coming up right after this.
Hi, I'm Jim Miller.
This is Dan Merigliotta.
I'm Derek Brunson.
I'm Nick the Carney Lentz, and you're locked into the cage with Cyclone.
Alrighty, we are back. And you know what? I want to thank everybody who's made liners for me. And before we continue, I just want to say, everyone out there listening now, become a fan of BWRN on Spreaker. Follow everyone. We have some incredible shows here. Kevin Guti and Jeffrey Paul do the sports book. Listen, they are fantastic. There's Greg the Greek, Rockin' Wits. There's Night Meds with Frank Vignola, I could call him a longtime friend of mine. Listen to Frank and Night Meds. It's a really interesting show. As is Red Light Podcast Redux with Gina Savage. And there's so many other shows besides those. Just always listen on Spreaker to BWRN. You're going to really enjoy yourself. We have all types of shows on here. Now let's slide over to the aforementioned Bellator 176, shall we? In the unaired card, Giorgio Basante won a unanimous decision from Vander del Media de Sol. You know, as far as Bellator is concerned, they're doing things the right way now. Their management has told Scott Coker, go out and spend money. So what they're actually going to start doing now, at least what I think, is sort of like the Yankees in the mid-70s, there was a dip in them in the 80s, but the 90s, they're going to open up the pocketbooks and they're going to spend. They've already spent. They brought in Lorenzo Larkin, Rory McDonald. They brought in Ryan Bader. They're going to spend money. And someone like Gegard Mousasi, who is now technically a free agent, in the UFC, there's a massive logjam. In Bellator, Gegard Mousasi would dominate. He's all about the money. He said he just wants to be paid the most amount of money. So, if his buddy Scott Coker, because we all know Gegard was Strikeforce champion when Scott Coker was running Strikeforce, you bring those two together, and he will dominate that division in Bellator. Anyways, getting back, Samba Coulibaly was choked out by an anaconda choke 30 seconds into the first round by Mikhail Nika. And then after that, Valerie Mersu won a majority decision from Damanji Chan. And And about that was that. Okay, here's the thing. Anastasia Yankova is very highly touted. Everyone's talking about her. First of all, she's absolutely stunning, but that's not why they're talking about her. She's stunning, and she's just that damn good. She won a unanimous decision, but she only won it doing just enough to win. And who she beat was Alina. I'm going to butcher her Russian last name. She beat Alina Kalindov, and here's the thing: Alina's only 18, and when I was 18, the furthest thing I was thinking of was becoming a professional athlete. Uh, I don't know what this is, but um, anyways, as I move along, sorry about that. Uh, she hung in there with Anastasia. She really did. And for an 18-year-old to hang in with someone who's already at a medium to semi-high level, that's good for her. She's going to go places eventually. And then, much like the UFC's main event on Saturday, was a rematch for a title. This one was for Bellator's middleweight championship. The first bout between Rafael Carvejo and Melvin Manahoff was, let's just say, anything less than spectacular. Okay? It wasn't that good. This one, it kind of started out the same way. Melvin actually came out stronger in the first round, which is shocking because he normally sits back and lets the action come to him. Rafael came back strong in the second and third rounds, started taking Melvin down to the mat, started taking control, and losing those 2 rounds, Melvin, he had to know that he was behind on all the judges' scorecards. He knew that he had to do something, and he started pushing the action. And in charging Rafael, he opened up himself to a counterattack, and Rafael got him with a left leg head kick that put Melvin to sleep. And you could actually, from all the reports that I read, you could hear the thud of the kick completely throughout the arena. That was your Bellator 176 on Saturday night. And some more news from Bellator. And I mean, some more news from World Series of Fighting just came out. Ray Sefo, their president, and he's actually a very interesting character to talk to. I've had the opportunity to talk to him a couple of times. He said that, let me start from the very beginning. Ray Sefo said that big things are going to happen in 2018. And he was really, really secretive about it. And it's now come out that big things are actually going to happen for him in 2018. And I say for him because while remaining president of the World Series of Fighting and all that entails, he is coming to New York for an extended period of time. He's not sightseeing. I don't know if he's planning on any more World Series of Fighting cards in New York. I know I hope so. I was at the New Year's Eve card at the Theater of the Garden. It was really, really fun. And it was actually an honor for me to be able to watch John Fitch, to watch Jake Shields, Andre Harrison, Justin Gaethje. But anyways, as I was saying, he is coming to New York to, of all things, be on Broadway. That's right. Ray Sefo is coming to New York, and he's in a Broadway play. The play is Maui, which is the stage version of the cartoon movie, and he is playing the role. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I got that backwards. Oops. The Broadway play is... Wait, did I? I don't even know. He is anyways, Ray Sefo is doing the Broadway play role that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson voiced in the movie. And if you look at Ray Sefo, he's a big guy. Sugarfoot is a boxing legend, a kickboxing legend, an MMA legend. You say, no, this guy cannot be in a Broadway musical. But actually, he started out as an actor as a kid. He was actually in the movie Newsies with Christian Bale. So, who knows? He might be good, but you know what? I guarantee you, I will be there at the stage door all the time talking to Ray Sefo about it. And I'll be talking to him about World Series of Fighting, too. And speaking of World Series of Fighting, they have a card announced, kind of. And by kind of, they announced the location of their next card, which is World Series of Fighting 36. It's going to be in Vegas. No date has been announced yet, and no location has been announced yet. Moving along, I want to now preview a couple of cards, and we have a very, very busy week coming up. This Friday, there's not one, not two, but 3 cards coming up. Victory FC 56 is this Friday, and that's coming from Omaha, Nebraska, and it's highlighted by 2 title fights. Their bantamweight championship is on the line. Robert Emerson is taking on Ralph Stotts, and their welterweight championship as well is on the line with Cassius Holdorf against the very, 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 very dangerous Yuri Vilefort, who's, let me just say this, and I know I haven't done it so much in this first episode of Breaking Fighters Down. Yuri's stand-up is, I don't want to say it's unmatched, because there's always someone bigger and better and badder, but he is one of the best. This kid is going to rise through the ranks. He will hold that welterweight championship. He will move up in companies if other companies are smart to sign him. Eventually, you know what? I'd actually like to see how he would do in Bellator. I would like to see how he would do in UFC, quite frankly. Yuri is really, really a highlight reel. A human highlight reel, if you will. Bellator is coming back with a quick turnaround. They just had 176 on Saturday. 177 of Bellator is this Friday. It's in Budapest, Hungary. And speaking of Hungary, at 12:40 p.m. on this absolutely beautiful New York Monday, I'm starting to get a bit hungry myself, but that's a whole other story. Their bantamweight championship is on the line. Eduardo Dantas is putting it up against Leonardo Higro. And both of these, it's a good matchup. I can see it going the distance. I don't see anyone getting the finish. It's going to wind up going to the judges' scorecards. It's actually one of their better I would say, bookings for fights. Uh, Two mainstays in the company, John Teixeira is taking on Daniel Weichel. And, geez, someone's going to sleep in that fight. Both of those guys like to slug it out, so I don't see that one lasting too long. And sliding over, Legacy 9 is also on Friday night, and that's coming from Shawnee, Oklahoma. Myron Dennis, who actually was the Ultimate Fighter season 23. He was on Joanna Jacek's team. Is taking on Danilo Marquez, and Danilo actually trains with Damian Maia, Shogun Rua, so you know he doesn't plan on taking any damage, but someone who worked with Joanna likes to give some damage. So that should be a really, really interesting matchup. Then moving along to Saturday, we have the UFC on Fox. UFC on Fox 24. Oh, I hear my bell ringing. Isn't that nice? Ashley Evans Smith is taking on Ketlin Vieira in the early prelims, as is Nathan Coy and Zach Cummings. That's going to be an interesting fight because Zach has the habit of one fight looking good, one fight looking bad, one fight looking good, one fight looking bad. So it should be his onside this time. So I look forward to Saturday night watching him show some goodness, if you will. Augusto Mendez is taking on Long Island's own Aljamain Sterling. And Aljamain is actually starting to climb the bantamweight ranks in the UFC. Is he going to knock on the table one day for a title shot? I don't know. I would like to see how he would do going up against the top ranked guys, but my heart with him, I would kind of pick him with my heart instead of with my head. Andrew Sanchez is taking on Anthony Smith. Devin Clark is taking on Jake Collier. And that the winner of that fight can actually climb really high in the middleweight division. And I think it's honestly going to be Jake. I think Jake's ground game is really improved recently. Yeah, I really do. Moving along to the prelim card for that night, Tim Elliott and Luis Smoka. And Luis is like an enigma. He should be so much better than what he is. It's freaky. You know, Bobby Green is taking on Rashad Magomedov, who's 19-2 now. Is this going to be another case of another Russian just climbing up the ranks and causing damage? And I think it honestly is. Patrick Williams is taking on Tom Descoyne. Big Country Roy Nelson and Alexander Volkov are going to go at it. And the one thing I like about Roy Nelson is he kind of looks like me, a big fat guy. And it's those types of guys that you have to like. You really, really do. Moving over to the main event, Little Heathen Jeremy Stevens is going at it with I can't even read my own handwriting at this time. I'm getting that old. He's taking on Renato Mocaino. Jacare Souza is taking on Forrest Whitaker. He's taking on Robert Whitaker. And you know what? There is such a logjam, and I've said it a couple of times already, at middleweight in the UFC. Jacare should be getting the title shot. Although, then again, the real title shot should be going to Yoel Romero. But, I mean, Souza, at least Souza's taking this fight to stay active and not stay home. And I see Jacare really starching Whitaker and just continuing to prove his dominance. I think, honestly, second round tap out, that's not actually a prediction that will be in a raffle, but it's just a personal side prediction by me. Then Michelle Waterston, the karate hottie, is continuing her push that the UFC is giving her, and they have really, as a company, gotten behind her and given her a push like never before, you know. And she's taking on Thug Rose Namajunas, and I think, here's the thing, I think Thug Rose could go out there and just hammer away, but more likely, I think, because Michelle's ground game, her BJJ is a lot better than Thug's, I think it's going to go down to the mat early, and I think Michelle's going to get her to tap. I really, really do. And that brings us to the main event for UFC on Fox Saturday, number 24. Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson against Wilson Reis. Now, here's the thing. It's going to be his 11th title defense. Does he get it? Does he tie Anderson Silva and then break Anderson Silva's record for title defenses? I don't know. But I do know this. Wilson is going to give him more than just about every challenger has given him so far. I really, really do. Yeah, I think Wilson has a shot to actually beat him and break that streak and become hashtag and new. There is a shot. I know right now all you guys are saying, no, shut up, Cyclone. You don't know what you're talking about. Demetrius is going to be unstoppable. I disagree. I really, really think that Wilson has a shot. And then on Sunday, moving along, Ryzen in Japan has a card, and that is main evented by Tatsui Kajiniri against Anthony Burchak. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't done my homework on these two, but Ryzen fighters always, much like everything in Japan, they're always all heart. They if they go to the cage, if they see the lights on, it's showtime. People in Japan actually come through. So let's say we go to the Facebook question now. We have right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people have entered the contest, and I'm going into my trusty little bag here, picking out a number, and the number is wow, it's number 5. So let me count down. 1, 2, 3. How many licks to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? 4. I just lost count saying that line. See, I can't do two things at once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. I cannot believe it. John James, who just won the UFC 210 raffle, which was a UFC 150, it was a 157, 158 t-shirt, GSP against Nick Diaz. I can't believe it. John won the t-shirt, and I don't know if John's ever going to win again. Maybe this is his lucky week. Maybe, John, you should go play the lotto, but you just won again. Darn it. So I am reading what you wrote here. I'm going to sweep the prizes. Yeah, congratulations, you're lucky. Here is your question. Who do you think finally beats Mighty Mouse, if anyone? Can he retire undefeated? Well, first of all, he's not undefeated. He lost before he became champion. Now, I did actually just say I think Wilson could beat him. But if Wilson does lose, if Demetrius does beat Wilson, and then he wins again, Demetrius has said he would like the record-breaking fight to be a super fight against Cody Garbrandt. Now look, at first I think Cody Garbrandt was just a striker, nothing more, and that's why I thought Dominic Cruz was going to starch him, because all he could do is punch and punch and punch, and that's it. And the fact of the matter is, at Team Alpha Male, with Uriah Faber's help, they did their homework, and somehow, some way, through all that hard work, and maybe some osmosis, and maybe through a deal with the devil himself, Cody Garbrandt became a complete fighter. He actually did. And he actually won me over. And as a matter of fact, I saw him after he won the championship when he came into New York. And I told him I was never a fan of his until after that fight. He won me over with his hard work and him becoming a well-rounded fighter. Do I think if Cody fought Mighty Mouse, what would happen? That's sort of like a dream fight, and I don't want to really go into that because that's the next segment. But I think Cody would wreck Dominic Cruz. I think Cody would wreck Demetrius Johnson. I really do. I don't see how Demetrius could beat Cody. I really don't. So I will be in touch with you again, Mr. James, who I now hate. I'm only kidding. I don't hate you. I like you. I like all my followers. I like all my listeners. By the way, everybody, please go get your friends to go on Facebook. Once again, type in the Cage with Cyclone and click like. That's all you have to do. Anyone can do it, okay? We got to get these likes up. So I will be in touch with you, Mr. James, again, and I will now be sending you another prize. Oish. All right, so like the aforementioned Dream Fight has been plugged, it is now time for the first ever In the Cage with Cyclone Dream Fight. Now, what I did was I took 300 of the best MMA fighters, not just MMA fighters, I got some actors in here as well. I don't have any pure boxers or pure wrestlers either, except for Antonio Inoki. He's the only pure wrestler I put in there because the guy was a god. Yeah, so I'm going to pick out two names right now, and I will tell you what happens. And by the way, once these two people are picked, they no longer are eligible. It's a one-time deal only. Okay, we have number 43 and number 174. I laugh because this is going to be funny. Number 174. I feel like I'm playing bingo now. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are going to like this one. Number 43, in the blue corner, he's a middleweight. He has a record of 5-2. Ryan Gracie. And ladies and gentlemen, number 174 is the UFC bantamweight champion. He's 11-0. Cody No Love Garbrandt. Okay, in about between these two, I see. By the way, I would have to have Big John McCarthy refereeing that bout. I see Cody coming out fast and strong, trying to stalk Ryan. I see Ryan backing up against the cage, and much like the entire Gracie clan, it's hard to beat them. MMA is in their blood. BJJ is in their blood. Everything is in their blood. I see Cody landing some strikes. I see Ryan taking it down to the mat. I see a couple of scrambles going on. I see Cody being able, because of his work at Team Alpha Male, I can see him scrambling out at first. I can see him landing some kicks. His kicking game really improved against Dominic Cruz. I could see Gracie then going for a shoot, taking it down again. I could see him with some top control, landing some ground and pound. I could see Cody, turning it over, going for like an armbar or something. I could see Gracie getting out of that back to, a neutral position. I see them not going toe-to-toe, but them trading some shots as the first round would come to an end. Second round, I see a very tired and exhausted Cody coming out, but not as fast. I see that Ryan takes it down to the mat for a third time. I see him going for like a neck crank or some sort of a submission. I see him not getting it. I can see Cody slipping through, going back to a stand-up position. Maybe Cody catches him with a strike. And I hate to admit it, but I see Cody just catching him right spot on the jaw. Anybody goes down, and I think Mr. Ryan Gracie goes to 5-3, and Cody No Love goes to 12-0. I could see Cody actually beating him. All right, so we're at the end of the show. There was so much more we could have gone to. Just to remind you all to contact me, Facebook, In the Cage on Facebook, Psyche, CYCIE 19 on Twitter, boneheadpics.com, read all my articles, and check out my website, cyclonecomedy.com. And until 2 weeks from today, I will not be back next week. It's every second and fourth Monday of the month. So 2 weeks from today, I will be back. I am Cyclone, reminding all of you, just because you are not an athlete doesn't mean you cannot be an athletic supporter. Bye-bye.